Now let's discuss that further with Tony Gosling, historian and investigative journalist joining us from Bristol. Mr. Gosling, it's great to have you with us. Russia has made it clear that it won't recognize the snapback mechanism. How does Moscow's stance challenge the legitimacy of the European Troika's move here?
Well, let's look at the legitimacy of these three countries, Germany, France and the UK. The UK is pursuing, well, despite having a fantastic support for Palestinians here in Britain, the government is at odds with its people and is continuing to supply weapons to the Israelis. The last 2 months, a massive spike in the number of weapons going to Israel. So the British government is complicit in genocide. The British financial institutions who are helping the Israelis are also complicit in genocide. These are all people that one day we hope will go to trial for complicity in this genocide. That's the UK. What about France? Well, in France, do you have a democracy in France? The National Rally Party's Marine Le Pen has been told she's not allowed to stand in elections. So that's not democracy. The main nationalist party in France is banned, effectively, or the main leader. And in Germany, we've had with the elections, Alternative for Deutschland, their nationalist party. We've had the attempt, first of all, by the German secret services to ban their main party, which is doing extremely well and upcoming in German politics. And then when they couldn't get the party banned and turned into a terrorist organisation in a fraud, now suddenly 6 of their candidates for the elections have dropped dead mysteriously. So this is the background to these three countries that are pursuing war with Iran, and economic warfare is a form of warfare. And of course, they would much rather it went further. They've been encouraging the Israelis, and they've been encouraging the United States to take this war further. So that's, I think, the bottom line of it. The Russians, of course, are being extremely wise, sensible. They are, I would say, like the mature guy in the room at the United Nations Security Council and at the UN and on the world stage. They're the kind of guys, if you want, the ladies prefer, because they can see their children are less likely to be bombed to pieces, fried in a nuclear war, or be sent to fight a pointless war, which most of the European and American wars, like in Afghanistan, Vietnam, is a massive list. Most of them lose. And so that's, I think actually the Russians are performing a role on the world stage now, rather like Britain did in its finest hour, calling out Nazi Germany at the beginning of World War II in 1938 and 1939 specifically, declaring war on Germany, declaring war on Nazism and fascism. The Russians seem to be the ones around the world who have taken stock of the situation and are actually, they're strong enough also to defend themselves. Putin has taken a couple of decades to build up the Russian armaments industry, not through bribery, but through determination and through national pride. And so nobody actually really dares to push the Russians around, because the Russians know they can hit back. And that's why I think most people need to listen to Russia rather than this pathetic troika.
Yes, Mr. Gosling, Tehran has warned of a harsh response to the E3's decision here. In your view, what forms could that response take, both diplomatically and also strategically?
Well, look, I think the most important way to respond to these sorts of attack. I mean, one thing, it might sound like a bit of a strange thing to say, but I think we need to hear more Russian voices and more international voices in the English language, because the Russians don't like the English for very good reasons. The English have been the British have been pursuing this war against them in Ukraine, MI6 particularly, the secret services here. And so they obviously don't like the English language, but most of the world, it's the lingua franca of the planet. These conflicts are being understood mostly in the English language, and the Russians are very reluctant. They put out almost all their press statements, etc., in Russian, maybe with subtitles if you're lucky. So it's nice to hear Vasily at the UN speaking in English here to explain this to everybody. So that's one thing. I think it may be another sort of basic thing that the Iranians can do is simply explain and lay out. Look, this is the situation with Israel. I noticed, by the way, it's so insane, isn't it, to have the International Atomic Energy Agency and other agencies criticizing Iran's peaceful nuclear program, which Tulsi Gabbard says is not a weapons program. The Director of National Intelligence in the United States said this. And yet Israel is getting away with a very big and a very long-term nuclear program. They were obsessed with obtaining nuclear weapons in the 1960s, and Laurent Guillot, the French filmmaker, made a very good film. It was Israel and the assassination of the Kennedy brothers, which proves at least a very strong view that the Kennedy assassinations, of course we've got RFK Jr. actually now in the government from that family, but the Kennedy assassinations were not some sort of curse of the Kennedys. They were Israeli Mossad and Israeli hits, because Kennedy was trying to stop the Israelis obtaining material for nuclear weapons. So clearly, yes, the nuclear inspectorates around the world should be round at Dimona. They should be in Tel Aviv interrogating people there, not Tehran. And we see so much reversal. It's almost as if for thousands of years the whole history of evil is being concentrated right now in the far-right bloc controlling the Israeli army. For example, as they go and attack this flotilla in the Mediterranean of beautiful, peaceful people trying to get aid through to Gaza. What evil it is to try and stop that brilliant and fantastic international act. Most of these people are not being paid by anybody. They're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, and evil is now descending upon them.